History tells us what happened. They give us dates, names, victories, and defeats. They explain outcomes, who won, who lost, and how the world moved on. But history books rarely tell us the full story. Behind every event that changed the world, there are hidden decisions, overlooked moments, and human choices made under pressure. Choices that seemed ordinary at the time, but quietly reshaped the course of history. Today, we're uncovering the real story behind events that changed history forever. History is often presented as something clean and predictable, a straight line from cause to effect, a timeline that feels inevitable once we look back on it. But real history is not neat. It's emotional, it's uncertain, and above all, it's human. World-changing events were rarely driven by perfect plans or flawless leadership. They were shaped by fear, ambition, hesitation, misunderstanding, and sometimes pure chance. Many of the most important decisions in history were made by people who had no idea how much the future depended on them. When we study the past, it's easy to believe everything happened exactly as it was meant to, that history could only have unfolded one way. But in reality, history stood at countless crossroads. At each one, a different decision could have led to a different future. A message delivered a little earlier, a command understood more clearly, a leader who chose to wait instead of act, or act instead of wait. Small moments, often forgotten, triggered chain reactions that changed nations, borders, and millions of lives. History doesn't always turn on loud explosions or dramatic speeches. Sometimes it turns on silence. Consider how many turning points began quietly. A meeting that ended early, a conversation interrupted, a decision made late at night under stress and exhaustion. At the time, these moments felt ordinary, insignificant, almost invisible. But history is fragile. One choice alters the next. One mistake opens the door to another. And before anyone realizes what's happening, the world is no longer the same. Chance plays a far greater role in history than we like to admit. Weather shifts at the wrong moment. An illness delays a leader. A ship arrives late. A document is misplaced. Events we now describe as destined were once uncertain. At many points, history balanced on the edge of multiple possible futures. Had one detail changed, just slightly, the outcome could have been entirely different. The past wasn't planned, it unfolded. Yet as time passes, history becomes simplified. Complex stories are reduced to easy explanations. Heroes are polished, failures are softened, contradictions are removed. Entire voices disappear from the record, not because they didn't matter, but because they complicated the narrative people wanted to remember. History is not only written by the winners, it is edited by them. And in that editing process, uncomfortable truths are often left behind. What we remember about history is rarely the full picture. We celebrate victories without acknowledging the cost. We admire leaders without examining their flaws. We repeat simplified stories because they're easier to accept. But the truth is always more complicated. Behind every victory, there are sacrifices. Behind every empire, there are those who paid the price. Understanding the full story doesn't weaken history. It makes it real. Many historical myths survive not because they are accurate, but because they are convenient. They offer clear heroes and clear villains. They make complex events easier to explain. They allow societies to move forward without confronting uncomfortable questions. But real history resists simplicity. It forces us to face contradiction. It reveals that progress often comes with loss. And it reminds us that even celebrated moments carry hidden consequences. Why does this matter? Because history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but human behavior does.
Fear still shapes decisions. Power still corrupts. Pride still blinds. Hope still inspires. The same emotions that shaped the past continue to influence the present. When we ignore the deeper truths of history, we risk repeating the same mistakes, simply under different names and circumstances. History is not just about what happened. It's about why people believed their choices were necessary at the time. It's about the pressure they faced, the limits of their knowledge, the consequences they couldn't see. When we understand this, history stops being a collection of distant events and becomes a mirror, a reflection of human nature, a reminder of how fragile progress can be, and how powerful individual choices truly are. Even today, history is still being written. Right now, decisions are being made that future generations will study, debate, and simplify. They will see headlines, dates, outcomes. But beneath those summaries will be real people, real uncertainty, and real consequences, just like the past. The way we tell history shapes how we understand the world. It influences what we fear, what we value, and what we believe is possible. That's why uncovering the real story matters. Not to rewrite the past, but to understand it honestly. History is more than a collection of events. It is a story of choices, of mistakes, of moments when everything could have gone differently. Some choices were brave, others were selfish, many were simply human. But together they shaped the world we live in today. Understanding history is not about assigning blame or praise. It's about learning how decisions are made under pressure, how power influences judgment, and how unintended consequences shape outcomes. When we study history this way, we gain something valuable: perspective. Perspective that allows us to question simple answers. Perspective that helps us recognize patterns. Perspective that prepares us for the challenges of the future. Because the truth is this: history is not driven by destiny, it is driven by people. People who act with limited information. People who make choices under fear, hope, and ambition. People who cannot see the future, only the moment in front of them. And that reality makes history far more powerful than any myth ever could. If there is one lesson history teaches us, it is that small decisions matter. A single choice can change the course of a life. A series of choices can change the course of a nation. And a moment of hesitation or action can echo for generations. History is shaped not only by great leaders and massive events, but by ordinary moments that quietly altered everything. As we look back at the past, it's tempting to judge, to ask how people could have made certain decisions, to wonder why mistakes weren't avoided. But history reminds us of something important. We are no different. We make decisions with incomplete information. We act under pressure. We hope for the best and fear the worst. And someday, future generations will look back at our choices, trying to understand what we believed, what we feared, and why we acted the way we did. History is not finished. It is ongoing, and the way we understand the past will shape how we move forward. That's why truth matters. That's why context matters. And that's why history deserves to be told honestly. If you want to explore more hidden truths, forgotten moments, and the real forces that shaped our world, subscribe to Truthline Fact. Because facts matter, and truth deserves to be remembered.